The conference room went silent the moment Colonel Reyes walked in, but it was Lieutenant Prescott who broke the silence with a smirk that carried more contempt than words ever could. "With respect, sir, I don't think Sergeant Malik should be leading this briefing. He's never been on a real mission." A few officers chuckled. Others looked away, uncomfortable, but no one corrected him. Daniel Malik simply set down his folder, adjusted his sleeve, and said nothing. He had learned a long time ago that the loudest voice in the room is rarely the one that matters. If you've ever been underestimated by someone who thought they knew your whole story from a single glance, you already know exactly how this feels, and I promise you, what happens next in this room is going to give you chills. So stay with me till the end, because Daniel's answer is coming, and it's not the one anyone expects. Daniel had joined this unit 6 months ago, transferred quietly from a division nobody talked about, with a file that was heavily redacted even to the base commander. To the new recruits and even some senior officers, he was just a quiet man in his 40s who ate lunch alone. I spoke only when necessary, and never once mentioned a single operation, a single deployment, a single scar. People fill silence with their own assumptions, and the assumption here was simple. He was a desk soldier, a paperwork sergeant, someone who had spent his career behind a monitor while real soldiers bled in real deserts. Prescott, young, decorated, and hungry for recognition, had made that assumption louder than most. Colonel Reyes cleared his throat. "Lieutenant, that's enough." But Prescott wasn't finished. He turned to the room, playing to his audience now. "I just think if we're planning an extraction under fire, we need someone who's actually felt what that's like, not someone who's read about it in a manual." Laughter, this time a little louder. Daniel finally looked up. His eyes weren't angry, they were tired. The way a man's eyes look when he has carried something heavy for so long that anger simply doesn't have room to exist anymore. "You're right," Daniel said quietly. "I haven't told anyone here what I've done." "That's true." Prescott folded his arms, victorious. "So why are you even in this chair?" Daniel stood, walked to the screen at the front of the room, and pulled up a single photograph. It was grainy, taken from a helmet camera, time-stamped 11 years earlier. A building on fire, smoke pouring from shattered windows, a figure carrying a child through the flames. His uniform burning at the shoulder, his face barely visible beneath soot and blood. "This was Terrebonne," Daniel said. 14 hostages, a collapsing structure, and 40 minutes before the whole block was scheduled to come down by remote detonation because command believed no one could get inside in time. He clicked to the next image, then the next. Faces, names: a woman in a hospital bed, a boy, maybe 10 years old, holding a small wooden soldier toy. "I got 12 of them out. I lost 2 men doing it. I have never once talked about it in this building, because talking about the ones you couldn't save doesn't feel like courage. It feels like reopening a door you spent years trying to seal shut." The room had gone from smug silence to something entirely different, the kind of silence that presses against your chest. Prescott's arms slowly came unfolded. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Colonel Reyes, who apparently had known the entire time, simply nodded once, letting Daniel continue. "I didn't come here to prove anything to anyone," Daniel said, his voice steady but softer now. "I came here because after Terrebonne I couldn't hold a rifle without my hands shaking for 3 years. I came here because a doctor told me I would never serve again, and I spent those 3 years relearning how to walk into a room without flinching at loud noises. This assignment, this quiet, paperwork job you all laughed about, this was my mission. Getting back here, sitting at this table, being able to breathe normally in a room full of soldiers again. That took more courage than anything I did in that burning building." Nobody laughed now. Prescott, the same young officer who had smirked minutes earlier, looked down at the table like a man who had just realized the weight of his own words. "Sergeant, I didn't know," he said quietly. Daniel offered him something Prescott didn't expect, a small, genuine smile. "That's the point. You never do. Everyone in this room is carrying something you can't see. Maybe next time, lead with curiosity instead of judgment." The meeting continued after that, but something in the room